Aye.
Short Bus Debate Club. It's a bus rolling.
I can get on board. Hello, I'm Darren Jolly.
It's time to get this short bus started. So let's roll and on with the show. Hey, and welcome to part 2 of Military Appropriations 2023.
Nothing funnier than military appropriations.
No, we just know how to have a good time around here. So the exclusive content here is not going to be real exclusive since I said I was going to put the fucking link into the description, but we are going to talk about things in more detail and give you sort of an opinion, an insight, our paradigm on the entire thing.
Yeah, I definitely have a closing statement for this when it's all said and done.
Yeah. So, since I took the entire fucking beginning of the last segment, you want to fucking jump in?
Not particularly, no. But, so line items, like what you were talking about at the end of the other one, we got to talk about the regions. But one of the things that I thought was really funny was, like, the way that they talked about, like, international cooperation is like an afterthought. You know, like at the very end, they're like, at the end, the non-proliferation efforts are on page 17, and it's an 18-page document. There's one line item. We're going to spend $354.4 million on a cooperative threat reduction program, and that's our non-proliferation.
Right,
efforts.
which means that NATO is putting in probably $350 million. Because they're big on non-proliferation. If you pull up any of the weapons shit, when we did the weapons of mass destruction, weapons of insignificant destruction, and those episodes,
yeah.
Dude, NATO is fucking huge on non-proliferation, and I know that the group that you talked about with regard to the chemical warfare in Syria.
Yeah, yes.
I did more research on those guys, and they're actually a branch of NATO. So while the U.S. may have been putting some money in, or Iraq, or whoever.
Oh, you mean the organization that lied about the fact that Syria...
No. The one that you said went in and said that they lied.
Well, that was two people that worked for that organization. The entire organization itself, though, lied.
Okay, yeah. So,
and they are
NATO.
Because they're chemical biological. Their whole thing is about destroying chemical and biological weapons, which is why what they did in Syria was so fucked up.
Maybe I just missed that part because I thought you were saying they were completely separate, but that's fine. They worked for them at one time, and then they blackballed them.
Those two guys who were like, they had like between the two of them like 32 years, chemical and biological, like going into places and seeing when it happened, what they used, what they did. They were inspectors, and they got fucking. They went in and said, guys, you guys are saying that Bashar al-Assad, that his military did this, but we're not finding anything that indicates. No, but that's not what we're saying, you know. So.
Okay, well, I felt weird about saying that to begin with because I'm not a big believer in an organization that has a security council that has the United States and Russia, China.
Well, that's the UN, though.
That's what I meant. The UN, not NATO. Sorry, I started drinking again in January. It was my fucking...
Yeah, the permanent members, France, the UK.
Yeah. I have a hard time. So they're an offshoot of the UN.
They were, they were a weapons inspection agency that functioned on behalf
specifically
of
on like biological and chemical.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is why, I mean, and just Aaron Mate, like if you go look at his stuff on Twitter, I think he won like a Pulitzer for all the shit that he unearthed with regards to this, and like he did that. They had him testify in front of the UN based on everything that he proved was And still,
Bullshit.
I actually was listening to while I was doing my research for this. There was this thing on Twitter. Twitter actually is doing some interesting things now. There was a discussion group that was going on, and there's this real fucking ass can that used to fucking work for. He was the deputy assistant to President Trump. His name is Sebastian Gorski, something like that. Uh, and there were a bunch of other people that were on there, but because he was like an actual name person, so like Aaron Mate was on there and all these other like a lot of lefties, and there were some righties, but like Mate's like because the Gorski guy, I need to figure out what the fuck that dumbass's name really is. He's such an asshat. Like Gorka, Sebastian Gorka was what his name is. He's like a pure realist, so like he sees everything through the lens of like nations fighting with each other, like nations as if they're like actual individuals. It's just the stupidest bunch of bullshit ever. But Gorka used the example of what happened in 2017. He said, well, Bashar al-Assad used those chemical weapons, and Mate is like, dude, I want a fucking huge award proving that didn't fucking happen. He's like, so you still are gonna stick to that as a story? And he just rolled right over Mate, like pretending that.
Now that you say that, I'm wondering if there's a line item in the budget for creating false stories in order to get fucking people riled up so that they're behind the war. Like, seriously, I mean, that could have been the $6 billion that I was talking about.
But they're not going to put it in there like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could have been something in Homeland Security or something over on military construction or
flag psyops, all that kind of shit.
It could have been the entire fucking NASA budget, because I still think that's a huge fucking slush fund for the CIA. It could have been any number of things, but you have to have a certain amount of money in order to create that viewpoint and start everybody going in one way or the other, whether you're talking about planting headlines in traditional newspapers and on the news, or whether you're talking about using bots and cyber type shit on Twitter and Facebook and whatever. I think they actually have that budgeted. I just don't know what they fucking call it.
Well, and the funny thing about this is, if you can call this a funny thing, I'm not sure if this really is a funny thing, but since 1990. So how do you know whether or not the money's being used for the right thing or being allocated to the right space? How would you go in and figure something like that out? What do you need to do to an organization?
I think you need to look at where they're spending their money.
And how do you do that? What do you call that? You audit
accounting.
You audit them. Right?
Yeah.
You go in and you fucking audit them. Okay, so like the Pentagon, right? In the last 5 audits they've done since 1990. How do you think those audits have gone?
To where they didn't know where the money was?
Yeah.
No, I'm guessing that's what the end result was.
They just outright failed the last 5. I mean, like, in a world where you have these just gigantic defense budgets, and again, like, we're looking at the defense budget for the 2023 fiscal year, right? I mean, we're not looking at the Pentagon budget, we're not looking at, like, because the Pentagon budget is like, they have money that's allocated to it annually, but it's fluid and it comes from various different things, and like we said earlier, there might be intelligence money coming from here. There are these other ancillary bills that they might tack on. We're going to send another $34 billion to the Ukraine. So all that kind of fucking shit that just keeps fucking happening.
Take 20% from NASA.
We got another 2. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, they don't even need, like, literally they're like NASA missile defense budget. I mean,
right.
This is like, I mean, and now we have a space military force. I mean,
Space Force.
Yeah.
Dude, the show on Netflix, if you haven't watched it,
Space
you
Force?
should watch it. It's fucking hysterical.
Who's in it?
Well, it's Steve Carell, which I'm not a huge fan of him, but it was actually fucking funny as shit.
Did they make it after Trump? Did they really?
After the Space Force thing was established. It was funny as shit. So kind of based on what we were just now talking about.
Yeah.
One of the line items, and it's on page 11, it says responding to evolving threats. And there are a total of 5 bullet items under that heading. But one of them is it authorizes the establishment of a Center for Security Studies in Irregular Warfare, calling it an Irregular Warfare Center, to serve as a central mechanism for developing the irregular warfare knowledge of the DoD and advancing irregular warfare concepts and doctrine in collaboration with allies and partners. Now, in theory, we could call irregular warfare guerrilla warfare, right? Not gorilla, guerrilla.
Yeah,
No. I know you know.
Okay, yeah, the goo, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't think that that's what they're saying here.
No,
I think that they're
either.
putting a fucking budget spot on to create something about what I was just now talking about.
An abstraction that doesn't have an actual objective expression, so that you can basically do whatever the fuck you want with it in that moment.
Right.
Yeah, and seriously, like irregular warfare. What the fuck?
And do we really need a fucking center? An irregular warfare center. So that means.
What is a center? A center that might be a station out in the middle of the field where you're conducting operations.
Well, no, right? What I'm actually thinking is that next year or the year after, there's going to be some fucking building somewhere, wherever, and now they have their own fucking budget.
This is the irregular warfare building. Do you think they're going to put that on the outside?
Do you think maybe it'll be a fucking like polygon?
Yeah, because you can't be. You can't have like an equilateral position in an irregular warfare build.
Right.
I get the image. This is the world that we fucking live in, assholes. I mean, seriously. I totally glossed over that line item. So requires the establishment program to increase warning time of potential aggression. Okay, so these other things kind of make U.S. Special Operations Command, SOC. That's all normal shit, right? What's an assault breaker 2?
I don't know. I'm about to look it up.
Authorized an increase of $120 million for assault breaker 2 related activities. I'm going to look up the Irregular Warfare Center. I just want to know. I want to know if it's going to be a polygon.
Okay, so Assault Breaker 2 is tied to DARPA, which shouldn't fucking surprise you since it didn't have a fucking number attached to it.
They have irregular Pentagons, just for the record. So, for the irregular warfare building, we could have an irregular Pentagon. That's fucking disgusting. Irregular warfare focuses on there are 5 core missions within irregular war: unconventional warfare, stabilization, foreign internal defense, counterterrorism, and counterinsurgency. So they really are talking about stuff like guerrilla concepts in that space. But I mean, like, that is just the stupidest bunch of bullshit in the history of the universe, because like that's regular warfare. I mean,
well, nowadays it is.
It's always been.
Well,
if you read Sun Tzu, you that's regular warfare.
Yes, I understand that, but I think they're talking about regular warfare in the ways those dipshits used to fucking line up and shoot at each other.
Wow, here, listen to this. This is Wikipedia's bullshit on it. Is defined in United States Joint Doctrine as a violent struggle among state and non-state actors for legitimacy and influence over the relevant populations. Concepts associated with irregular warfare are older than the term itself.
Okay, so that explains it. I mean, if Wikipedia is accurate, then that does say that we're trying to fucking influence people through fucking Twitter and fucking media and whatever else. And it's a propaganda war.
Have you looked at any of the Twitter shit, the Twitter?
I don't ever fucking pull up Twitter ever.
But the since and of course there are problems with this, but since dumb Elon took control of it, Matt Taibbi and what's his name? I can't remember. I like the kid.
Not Jack Ruby.
No, yeah, Jack. And then the Jewish girl. I can't remember, but they're the they're the
Pippi Longstocking.
Yeah. Longstocking is not fucking Jewish, but
she's probably Irish, maybe Scottish.
Roughly the same thing. You can interpret that however you want it, but but so they're doing these like so the
which fucking Jewish girl, dude?
Hang on, give me just a second. I'll pull up the Twitter thing.
The Jewish. Sorry, Pippi.
Matt Tai Barry Weiss is the Jewish girl, and Li Fong. Li Fong is the other guy that I was thinking of.
Okay.
So Elon Musk has given them. So he runs this information through his lawyers and through some sort of an outside source, and this is information about what the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the CIA, and other intelligence agencies, particularly DHS, FBI, and CIA, were communicating with Twitter about things that were happening, things that were being discussed on Twitter. COVID. So like anything that had to do with what's it called? The other thing, when you make the virus.
I know what you're talking about.
Anything that had to do
the whole bullshit with creating it and
out of the National
research and development.
Yeah. So I don't know why I can never fucking remember that shit. But you anything that had to do with that, anything that had to do with Russian involvement with
like the elections.
Trying to push that dialectic forward, like that discussion forward. Anybody that was speaking out against that, anybody that was being critical of this, anybody that was so they were literally like monitoring, and not just monitoring, but creating false Twitter profiles.
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone to the fucking Eli Lilly thing that we talked about.
Yeah, except for we know who did that. Like that's that, which is
right. But I mean, awesome. it could have shown how far it spread and who actually took action and forwarded it, or
that was exactly what they were doing, because the people who owned Twitter at that point in time were working in concert with these intelligence agencies. And then when it switched hands, now I'm not going to say that Elon Musk is a good faith actor. That would be a stupid fucking thing to say right now. There's a really good point that Glenn Greenwald made. He's talking to Brianna Joy Gray on Bad Faith, and she asked him whether or not, if he were given the opportunity, same opportunity that Barry and Matt and Lee were given with regards to Elon, would he do it? And he said no. And he said, this is why. And you can see a moment in his life where he did this. He said, they're controlling the flow Elon's controlling the flow of information.
Yeah, he's giving them the ones that he wants them to see.
Exactly. And Glenn said, I can't be a party to that, because I could be being used unwittingly towards being constructed towards a different end. And I won't do that. I didn't do that when it was when I was getting the information from NSA douchebag guy.
Any number of.
What's his name though?
I don't fucking know who you're talking about.
Glenn Greenwald, the one that got the information from the whistleblower, the one that's in Russia now, the one that you think is still an asset.
Yeah, an asshat or a fucking CIA
an asset
player.
An asset.
I
listened to the kid with the glasses.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I always forget everybody's name because I really don't care. I mean, and I so Julian Assange and.
God damn it! I've seen that movie like 3 times.
The Fourth Estate.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I know who he is. I just never can remember anybody's name.
No, but I still think he's fucking full of shit.
Him. That's the one. Snowden. Edward Snowden.
I think he's the guy that did just exactly what fucking Elon Musk is doing right now, and he's pretending to be transparent so that everybody fucking relaxes.
If that's the truth, like the files that it looked like were given to I trust Glenn a lot more than I trust a lot of other people. Like the way that it was framed when it was handed over to him was done in a very, very intelligent way. Now, having said that, and I know we've gone in circles over this a little bit, like the one thing that Edward Snowden did that I think like I would be critical. So I have two big fucking problems with him. One is that he said he didn't get debriefed by the Russian intelligence when he went there. I'm sorry if you work for the CIA and the NSA and
He
you
should have
end up
had
in
his fucking
Russia.
fingernails pulled.
They're going to debrief him one way or another. He's not going to be able to stay in Russia. They're going to ask him a bunch of questions. If you really honestly tell me that you didn't do that, I just can't believe that.
It's just all bullshit.
But the other thing that concerns me about it is that it normalized the notion that everything we're doing is like, and when I say normalized, I mean everybody's like, even though we disagree with it, we say that it's bad, we say that it's evil, everybody accepts it as a fact now.
Okay, so this doesn't have shit to do with fucking military budgeting either, but it goes back to what we're talking about right now with the whole irregular warfare thing.
Yeah.
Right? Sort of. So what you just talked about with Snowden, he came out and said, yeah, we did this and we did that and everything else. And then all of a sudden everybody said, oh, well, he admitted it. So now we know what they're doing. And everybody fucking calmed down. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, that's my problem. Exactly.
But it was the same thing, again, sort of, as what happened in Oklahoma City. Clinton's fucking approval rating is going in the fucking toilet. They hate fucking Clinton. They hate Reno. They hate fucking Hillary Clinton. They hate the entire fucking slate.
Yeah.
A bomb goes off, no suspects. All of a sudden they fucking catch a guy. Clinton's fucking approval goes through the roof. Everything happens. Yeah. Attorney General, yay. Go ahead and munch that rug on Clinton. Do your thing. And everyone is fucking, again, just completely, it's fine. And that was after fucking Ruby Ridge and Waco and all of the fucked up shit that happened with the FBI, not to mention the fucking Navajo raids and every other fucking casino in the Southwest. We were doing fucked up shit to people and they were getting pissed. And then all of a sudden, the FBI is great. The president is great. The United States is great. It's the same fucking thing that Snowden happened. And maybe it is irregular warfare. And maybe they've had an irregular warfare center since then.
Well, I just don't think that. I mean, obviously, we've had an irregular warfare center since what were the brothers? Dulles. The Dulles brothers were functioning with the ONI. You know, I mean, and I don't think that that's conspiracy theory to even say that. You know, I mean, you understand that. You know, you bring over some German scientists. You know, at the end of World War II. Well, even before that, you know, I mean, they were doing fucked up shit before that.
And so, definitely after Vietnam, we understood how important
hearts and minds.
The hearts and minds were. I was going to say the popular vote, whatever.
The manipulation of civil society yeah. I mean, it's funny because like you have somebody like Robert McNamara who I mean, he worked for Ford. He was essentially a fucking bean counter, right? And he wanted to quantify concepts of war, but all of these other people that were around him were saying there are qualitative questions that you're not dealing with. And they were not talking to him about that, but they were very clear that we understand the value of concepts that Robert McNamara is capable of negotiating, but we don't want to end wars. And this wraps back around to the question that we're really the bigger question that we're trying to ask. Like, the end of what's the film, the best war film of all time with the
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now. What's the douchebag's name?
Martin,
Not
no,
Martin
not
Sheen,
Martin
but the other
Sheen,
one. Yeah.
but the Godfather.
Yeah. Marlon Brando, right?
Yeah.
So like Martin Sheen finds him, and they're sitting there just talking about it. Like, dude, I remember because I was in a political film class, and they did Redux while I was in the political film class. This guy named Harvey was teaching the class. Really fucking super cool fucking teacher. And we went to go see Redux at the one on the Colorado Boulevard, that big IMAX screen that they had over there.
Over where Hooters used to be.
Yeah, and the scene at the end where Brando's talking to him, and they talk about cutting off the fucking arms. They said the Vietnamese, we went in and we vaccinated those kids, and we came back a week later and they cut all those kids' arms off. And I realized in that moment that we were never going to win this war. I mean, and like he tells Martin Sheen to fucking kill him because he can't deal with
everything that's in his head
that he had gone through, that he had done,
Yeah.
who he was. I mean, the whole because Apocalypse Now is supposed to be that it's based off of the book from the river that they go down in Africa.
Kwai? No,
No, not River Kwai. It's a Rudyard Kipling book, or not Rudyard Kipling. Joseph Conrad, The Heart of Darkness. It's like this Heart of Darkness. Yeah,
that was the Lion movie.
Well, but I like my understanding was that when he made Apocalypse Now, that was sort of like he was on this sort of Joseph Conrad Heart of Darkness journey.
Okay.
But in that moment in the end, like that, and when I think about that, it takes me to that space where we are not trying to win wars anymore. We are trying to perpetrate a permanent state of war on multiple different levels to construct economies of war.
We are. I mean, we absolutely fucking are, and we're trying to figure out different ways to do it, which explains the irregular warfare thing. I mean, and again, so none of these, well, one of them has line item attached to it, but in cybersecurity, there's $44.1 million to support hunt forward operations, which, if I had to guess, being in cybersecurity, I would say that means they're threat hunters. Okay, so they're going out and they're looking for these threats and trying to isolate them and get rid of them and probably fucking reverse engineer them and figure out
so that they
how to deploy them again.
Yeah.
So $44.1 million for that, which is great. I mean, fine. We need to know how to defend ourselves against cyber, and hunt forward is fine. But they talk about another bullet point is converged cyber and electronic warfare conducted by and through military and intelligence assets operating in the radio frequency domain to provide strategic, operational, and tactical effects in support of combatant commanders. That doesn't mean shit to me, and there's no fucking dollar amount attached. That could mean anything because they just talk about a radio frequency. There's $25 million for the Air Force Cyber Resilience for weapon systems. There's $20 million for the establishment and initial operations of nuclear command, control, and communications. So I think that money is attached to those guys down in fucking New Mexico. But another $56.4 million for cybercom, for architectural development. I mean, and then they have another fucking entire heading under strengthening the cybersecurity posture, and none of them under the posture. Oh, I'm sorry. 4 of them out of the fucking 10 or 12 have fucking dollar amounts attached.
Okay, so the hunt forward thing. All right, this is some fucked up weird shit, dude. Okay. So, hunt forward operations are strictly defensive cyber operations constructed by U.S. Cyber Command at the request of partner nations. So, we're doing all these activities in Ukraine right now, right? So we're working with them in the middle of an active military conflict, right?
Yes.
So like the thing is to use cyber attacks that are coming against the Ukraine as a test run so that we can use them to protect and facilitate and, like you say, reverse engineer. But you're literally using the Ukraine as
Well, I mean, that doesn't really fucking surprise me because it was what did they call it? It was named after a James Bond movie. One of the attacks came through and it affected everything, and they figured that it was the Russians that launched it at the Ukraine, but because of similar shit that happened when the CIA and the Mossad launched their shit against Iran, and it fucking infected shit outside of where it was supposed to infect. Something similar happened when Russia was trying to infect the Ukraine, and it fucking spread. It wasn't Bad Rabbit. It doesn't fucking matter. These guys are all launching shit against each other, and they're reverse engineering stuff because they want to know, one, how the fuck they breached the wall, and two, what the fuck it was going to do once it happened.
They're like playing games.
Right. So if they added another line of code and they said, okay, this will breach, this will do this, but now we're going to fucking add this shit. So they're just, like you said, they're playing games. It's fucking 1983 War Games with fucking
line item
Matthew Broderick.
In the strengthening DoD cybersecurity posture, increase $50 million for artificial intelligence systems application development and cybercom. So, I mean, of course, that AI is going to be a part of this, but and again, like this is money that we're giving to private entities that are working in conjunction with intelligence organizations to develop technologies. Just like, I mean, I mean, the one thing that everybody is the fact that we have the internet, and the internet came from, Google and Amazon and all these motherfuckers have made all this fucking money off of this.
But it came from DARPA.
That the military developed. It was our money that developed it, but we're not making any fucking money off of it. We're not making. Just like Bezos made his fucking 200 billion off of grafting his fucking activity on the United States Postal Service and several other postal entities throughout the globe. These things are, again, they're not things that they're doing in a private way. That's
no, I don't think that they are. But I mean, so obviously there are more headings underneath it, and most of them have to do with cyber. The artificial intelligence thing kind of scares the shit out of me, almost as much as DARPA.
Boy, I tell you, if I was artificial intelligence, I'd kill all the motherfucking humans. I'd be just like the Matrix. I'd be just like fucking
the Terminator.
The Terminator. Yeah, I just think that humans, like, if real intelligence would dictate that we're not gonna, like, we're not gonna. We could, like you said, we could have made a turn. We could have made a choice. We could have restocked the shepherds down in Afghanistan. We could have helped them build roads. We could have helped them build fucking schools. We could have helped women have a little bit more of a say in what it was that was going on,
or at least tried.
Yeah,
I mean, because here's the entire problem I had with the whole thing is that we went over there and we said, well, we're coming over here to help these people, and it doesn't matter if it was in 88 or if it was in
03.
fucking 03. But we weren't going to help anybody. We were going to help ourselves, and that's it. We don't give two shits about a fucking Afghani fucking sheep herder or the first Afghani woman to have a driver's license. We don't give a shit about either of them. Luckily, there's no fucking line items for Afghanistan on there. There are some line items for the Middle East, though.
I was reading some other stuff on where they were talking shit about how we failed over there. There's this institution called the U.S. Government Special Investigator General for Afghan Reconstruction, and this was written in 2016, right, when things had started to ramp down. And the suggestion was that corruption undermined the U.S. mission, damaging the Afghan government, strengthening popular support for insurgency, and ultimately that meant that the material resources that we were putting in there got rechanneled to insurgents, right? So, but the suggestion, and this is, I was got this out of the Chomsky and the Prashad book. Uh, they made a suggestion in recent years. The U.S. has failed to accomplish any of the objectives of its wars.
But
So
we didn't.
so they say that our intention was to install
Democracy.
democratic institutions that were favorable to U.S. activities. But like again, like there's no real indicator that suggests that these were, like you said, these were ever our fucking intentions.
No, and those weren't. Here's what our intentions were, and this is why it's fucking evident. Our intentions were to bolster the fucking economic support for arms companies, because otherwise, you remember we were talking about how, Laos is fucking full of mines, Myanmar is full of mines,
Northern Afghanistan.
We should talk about how fucking if you start a war, you need to go in and clean your shit up.
Yes.
Well, we left tons of fucking M16s and fucking Humvees and tanks and all kinds of shit. And now the Taliban are fucking driving them around and they're shooting our guns off in the air. And at least on the fucking show I saw on Vice, they were running a fucking fair. There are Taliban guys all around, and kids are riding the fucking carousel and the fucking merry-go-round. And there were even a couple of Taliban guys on the fucking Ferris wheel with their fucking gun that was American made, that we left there for them to have. So we weren't there to install democracy.
Yeah, we were there to make money off of war. I mean, that's and to perpetrate environments that allow us to continue to make money off of various different markets that develop out of these destructive,
because it's all about optics. And maybe, and I hate to keep going back to it, but maybe that's what that fucking irregular warfare thing really is. And I don't know, because I think the CIA and the NSA have a lot to do with it. But maybe that's what it is just the optics. Oh, well, the United States is here to help. No, we're not going to help you clear your landmines. No, we're not going to take our shit with us. We're going to leave all of the ammo and all of the guns. And the same thing happened in fucking Iraq. I mean, it wasn't just Afghanistan that it happened. I mean, it happened in Central and fucking South America. Our shit is everywhere. And the only reason that we can justify doing that is by buying more.
Well, and what's developing out of it is it's not just our shit that's everywhere. Now, the Chinese are trying to incorporate themselves into these markets in different
fucking
places.
AKs.
So they got some. They look into it. They're not there yet, but they're getting a lot. They're getting a lot better. And the Russians to the same token. Like you have these various different actors that are the Saudis in Central Asia, Pakistan. I mean, in the same space. So.
Dude, I'm sure that the fucking Brits are fucking...
Yeah, the Brits, yes. I mean, if
the Germans.
The Germans not nearly as much as the Brits have a much more... I do want to say at least a couple of things about, because we are talking about appropriations. One thing that I ran across in the midst of all of this is anti-war activists who their entire life is hell-bent on trying to make the defense budget smaller. This guy named David Swanson has been one of these really good activists who's spent a lot of time on this. He tried to help impeach Bush and Cheney with Dennis Kucinich. Anybody that works with Dennis Kucinich is... Most people in Congress are fucking ass bags. Dennis Kucinich was a pretty good faith actor, I think, generally speaking. But having said that, I think that people like David Swanson, and then there was another guy that Stephen Semler. like a number cruncher. Like he looks at the numbers, looks at where the money's going a ton. It's got a really good Substack that's worth at least looking at for people if you're interested in it at all. But they're missing the boat because I think that they see they're still sort of functioning on that like Keynesian militarism kind of like space. They're not seeing the way that this is sort of like a perpetual market that is just never ever going to
Do you think that's
disappear.
the case? That can't really be, because that fucking goofy motherfucker that you showed me,
Mm-hmm.
the one that you
David
right there,
Swanson.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's no way. I mean, because, well, I guess there is a way, because a fucking doctor that gets a D in biology is still a doctor.
So what's your question though?
Well, no, I don't think that there's any way that nobody else sees it. Are they just trying to frame it in a way that people will listen
I think that
and we aren't?
I think that most people like they see the political process, the way that it moves, right? They see the and like democracy in motion, and I think that people, in spite of everything that's gone on over the course of the last, I mean, after Bernie in 2016, Bernie in 2020, Nader in 2000, 2004, 2008, I mean, you don't have to like them, but when you see the way that or even like when Ross Perot did what he did in '92 and '96, and then they fucking shut down the Reform Party in 2000 by fucking putting Pat Buchanan in there to make sure
that was Perot's fault, though, for a lot of it.
Well, but they no matter what, there could have been a third party that developed out of that because all they had to do was run Perot for a third time or run somebody in that spot.
So maybe Perot was the fucking guy fucking things up.
I mean, no matter what, Buchanan,
because there was no way I was voting for
Party,
Buchanan.
Yeah, the Republican Party clearly sabotaged the Reform Party's ability to get money. There's no doubt about that. And the Green Party never quite gets over that hump either. And the Democratic Party is very good about
The
demonizing
Libertarian
everything.
Party hasn't fucking survived. I mean,
David Johnson was an interesting guy for a second. Was it Gary Johnson was his name, right? Okay. But having said that,
sorry, I was shaking my head. I know we're on radio, so you can't hear that.
I think that people have not come to terms. So, like I told you, I listen to Bad Faith a lot. I like Brianna Joy Gray because she is this person who continues to struggle with trying to engage in the political process and knowing that there's just no. Her last, the last, she had Kshama Sawant, all these really good fucking people, and they're like, is there anything that we can ever do through electoral politics essentially that will ever and like she sort of vacillates back and forth between these moments where she's like maybe yeah but really probably never because so who was it again, give me just 2 seconds. So Kshama Sawant, Amani Oakley, and Shahid Buttar, so these are all lefties who have tried to run, and Shahid actually went like fucking balls to the wall against Pelosi in her and he almost like upended her ass, and he's the only person that's really took her on until she got booted.
California is a tough market though, no matter where you are, because the fucking population is
San Fran.
Outrageous everywhere you go.
Yeah, they're fucking lunatics to be sure.
Well, no, I meant that because like dipshit fucking whatever I was calling her, the French name down in fucking southern Colorado. She won because she was in a fucking Boebert. She was in a fucking she was in a district that had no population. So she won mainly because she owned a bar, and the majority of the fucking people that lived in the district probably came to that bar.
Yeah, she's getting them 2-for-1s or something like that.
Right. Blowjobs, whatever.
Yeah. Or just talking French.
She was giving them a Boebert.
A little Boebert. Uh-huh.
How do you want a Boebert in the parking lot? But in California, there aren't really any small districts like that. Like in Central California, fucking Merced and fucking just the shit in the farmland in Central California. That's probably the least populated area in the state.
Mm-hmm.
So Northern California, you've got huge population. So that's what I was saying, is that it's a tough market in California.
So, but at the end of the day, like part of the reason why I like Bree is because she always tries to find strategies to engage in electoral politics, like, so the spirit that you sort of like always try to embody, don't just because electoral politics is bullshit, don't stop engaging it. You got to at least try, and it'd be better if everybody was demonstrating how bullshit it was, because
All the
then we're all
pros.
involved in all involved, all the pros. But so she always goes that, but then she goes the other route too, like do this, do that, do this, do that. But at the same time, she tends to focus so much on legislative activities. Like this is just these individuals, I think, and she's like the furthest outside, but she still gets caught up in that fucking web way too often. They all, David Swanson, they. I mean, there's a reason why you spend so much time investing in crunching numbers with regards to military budgets, because you think that you can. I mean, David Swanson's like the area that he works in. It's all about like trying to reallocate defense funding to social funding.
Well, dude, I mentioned that 12% of our budget went to the military, right? 11% goes to education, and this was in 2022. So they haven't broken down the numbers for 2023.
Yeah, we're in the midst of everything still.
But
and some things could change in between.
There's a lot of fucking money between 1% when you're talking about trillions of dollars,
of course,
dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it ended up being like, for military 2022, it was $767 billion. And $90 billion less was for education and training. Now, I don't know that I'm a David Swanson fan, but I would much rather see my money going to education.
Of course.
And I would much rather see it going to fucking transportation. Our infrastructure in this fucking country is fucked. We've got bridges falling apart.
I drive on 6th, and I go right before you get to Sheridan.
Well, that's a state highway, though.
I don't give a fuck, dude. We still get money from the federal government for state highways, too,
yes,
dude.
We do.
There's a goddamn fucking pothole in that fucking right lane that I've hit 16 fucking times. I mean, like, I went to China. Those motherfuckers care about development. We don't give a fuck
fucking highways and infrastructure that I like in these 50 states is Nevada. And that's because they have so much money from fucking tax revenue that they just fucking, their roads are fucking immaculate, dude.
Florida's really pretty good too. After having been there last week,
I drove around in Miami and Fort Lauderdale a bunch. I wasn't all that impressed, but that's fine. I mean, either way.
It might be because of the tolls too. So,
well, there are tolls fucking everywhere, and that's another. Okay, so our tax money is supposed to go to the I system. How the fuck are they charging tolls all over 95 and fucking 25 and 35 and 70? That's road I already paid for, motherfucker. Sorry, I know we're kind of veering off course, but
it's the 7th Colorado Sunshine, I think.
What I was kind of getting at, fuck, I don't even
remember. We were talking about. I was talking
something.
So
we were talking about David. Oh yeah. So David Swanson. I don't know exactly where he's going with all of that stuff. And I still...
But you said you'd prefer to spend it on social stuff than on fucking
agree with Eisenhower. I think we need a military and we need a strong military. But that doesn't mean that we need to go and pick fights with people in order to generate revenue.
Constructing markets, essentially, at that point in time.
I would much rather prefer, if we were constructing markets, to go down to fucking Mexico or Nicaragua or fucking Afghanistan or wherever and say, look, you guys are dumb as fuck and don't know anything because you have no schools. Let's build a couple of schools. Let's build roads to those schools so people can get there. Because right now in those countries that I mentioned, the rich are educated and the poor are not.
And they're using their education as a way of extracting value from the poor, not in enriching the society as a whole.
Right, and those aren't the only countries. I just mentioned those because
And they were talking.
They were on the top of my head.
Doing. Okay, so just a quick so this is where I'm at with regards to what it is that you're suggesting. All right. This is a quote again out of Global Police State. It's in the conclusion chapter, The Battle for the Future. All right. This is a quote that he takes from Eric Hobsbawm. Or Hobsbawm. I don't know how the fuck to say his name, but it's a good quote.
Hobsbawm.
The future cannot be a continuation of the past, and there are signs, both externally and, as it were, internally. And we have reached a point of historic crisis. The structures of human societies themselves, including even some of the social formations of the capitalist economy, are on the point of being destroyed by the erosion of what we have inherited from the human past. Our world risks both explosion and implosion. It must change. If humanity is to have a recognizable future, it cannot be prolonging the past or the present. If we try to build the third millennium on that basis, we shall fail. And the price of that failure, that is to say, the alternative to a changed society, is darkness. And what I'm saying there is if you have actors who are using war as a way of perpetuating a permanent state of war, as opposed to building a society where, and you can pie in the sky. I'm not pie in the sky, because when push comes to shove, I'll fight back, motherfuckers.
I'm trying to be pie in the sky. I would prefer to build a school, and I don't give a shit if it's in Afghanistan or not. Don't build a school in Afghanistan. Teach the motherfuckers here in America how to read, because there are too many that don't know how. We've got some serious fucking problems here. So why do we...
We're all on the same bus though, bitch.
No, I understand that. But why do we have a tendency to try to police and I know the answer.
Police everybody. We're trying to make money off everybody.
Right, by policing them and causing war and fucking poking and everything else.
We have some debts to pay, dude.
We're in a lot of trouble. We need and if you don't have a decent fucking school near you, rent your kid a fucking book. Do something, because
rent your kid a book.
Did I say rent?
That's what it sounded like. I'm pretty sure you said rent.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that Annie, they had like book video stores down there.
Yeah.
So they rented books there.
Well, let your kid a book. Is that better?
Or get them access to the internet where they can read some shit,
Something.
Don't have them sit there watching Netflix only all day,
We've got some serious problems. And to go back to your fucking, lefty, I want to fight the electoral process, I've given up, whatever. We only have 3 choices.
We have to do all things at all times. That's what it comes down to. We have to vote.
Well, maybe, but I was going to say we have to be engaged in the political process. We completely fucking give up, or we fucking grab a gun and fight. Those are our 3 choices. Grab a gun and fight is fucking stupid, because we'd be like Palestinians throwing rocks. Giving up, as far as I'm concerned, is completely fucking stupid. So maybe we need to develop a 4th choice, because those are the only 3 I can think of.
I think we have to do all things at the same time. I mean, I think that we have to, and I'm not telling, I don't own a gun. I'm not telling everybody to go out and own a gun. But I think that it's important that the people that are in the system right now make it real clear that we either need to have a different way of moving forward, or we're gonna fight to create it. And I understand that like the Frantz Fanon thing, the symbolic, like I said, the dance, the violent act as dance. I'm not telling anybody to go out and be violent, but we're getting to the point where, like, when I see the way that David fucking Swanson and like I can't just go through the motions anymore.
No, I wasn't saying that we need to go out and be violent either, but those are the only three choices I can think of is voting, writing letters, and fucking calling everybody that you know, politically speaking, not actual. And maybe you don't know them, maybe you just know their name. Right? So that's one, being politically active. Two is throwing your fucking hands in the air and saying, fuck it. I can't do anything, which is what
They want you to do.
65% of the population is doing.
What they want you to do.
Right? Or we can grab some fucking guns and find some like-minded people and figure out how to change things. And I'm not saying that I'm grabbing a gun. I have a gun and I'll fucking shoot you in the head. But that isn't what I'm saying.
You have to provoke that act. It's not something that, yeah.
Right. I haven't come to the end of that road yet, and I don't know how long that road is.
So socially, people are getting to the point where it's getting nervous right now, to be sure. People are getting super cynical.
There are certain people that have become that way because they've been poked and prodded by other groups. And that's, to be clear, and I'm not speaking for Darren. I think I know his fucking answer, but we're not tied to any right group or any left group. We're not financed by anybody. We're not trying to instigate a revolution. What we're trying to do,
we need a way forward,
is create a revolution of thought.
We need an option. We need
something,
because if we continue to go down the option where if you turn the United States into Palestine, which is something that you were implying earlier, to be clear.
Well, again, if I shoot my fucking 9mm at somebody, it's essentially throwing a rock at a fucking tank, dude. Yeah. I mean, these guys have, even their small arms are huge arms.
And the non what do they call it?
Non-lethal weapons.
Yeah, non-lethal weapons are so fucking like devastating under certain circumstances.
Well, and those fucking, I mean, non-lethal is such a fucking stupid term because they still kill people.
Yeah. What I mean, I just ask the guys that are, and the people that are in power, what do you guys want? What do you really want? What do you want? Is this really what you want Ukraine to function like this? Do you want Russia to function like this? Are we going to exist in a permanent state of warfare? Can't we? I'm not asking you to get along with me about everything, but we need to find a better way forward. You know, this is not reproducible.
So we're coming up close to another hour on the second half of episode 68. I didn't mean to interrupt you if I did.
No, I mean, not reproducible is pretty much a...
I'm done.
Yeah.
So, the one thing that I didn't mention in the first half of the episode, and this probably shouldn't be exclusive, but you can go to the House Appropriations site, and it's just, I think, appropriations.gov.
And you can... House or the...
Well, for the House. Okay. So you can find all of the fucking members of the Defense Subcommittee, and you can find out what states they're in, what states they're not. But there's one chick named Kay Baumgartner, I think, and she's in charge of all of the appropriations over the House. In the Senate, it's some dude named Leahy. Leahy. You guys should definitely check out these fucking websites, and if any of the people on that subcommittee are in your state, Granger, sorry, not Baumgartner. Maybe I was thinking of that Jewish girl.
Barry, her name was Barry.
Yeah, I know. If any of them are in your state and you feel so inclined, write them, call them, and tell them, fuck you, quit driving the military industrial complex, and the prison industrial complex
Patrick
for that
Leahy.
matter.
Yeah, you're running the nut.
But I think that we need to take some action on a meaningful level. And
no matter, we need to at least know what's fucking going on a little bit better.
Yeah, because dude, nobody fucking knew that shit. There are some people that read it in the New York Times, maybe the Wall Street Journal,
I learned a ton
Washington
of shit this week
Post.
in the first week of our spring semester.
Right, now that we're back from sabbatical.
I hate the fucking post office. But I love public institutions like the post office.
Me too. I love public institutions like DARPA and the NSA, the CIA, the
And
FBI.
the Office of Naval Intelligence, because they send us fun people to talk to us at book release parties. If you ever want to come back out, I'd really love to talk to you again. We'd do an interview with you.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Why don't you call us and we can do an interview?
What's 720-334-ROLL?
Yeah. You can also email us and we'd be glad to talk to you
I'm
then.
pretty sure you can get access to this without paying because you guys have ways of doing things like that.
Right. And for that matter, if any of you want us to interview someone for whatever fucking topic, let us know at the same numbers, 720-334-ROLL 7655 or shortbusdebateclub@yahoo.com.
That was like a really decent transition, to the end. We did a pretty good job that time. We're working on this.
All right, bitches.
It would be better if I didn't say that. It's kind of like when you go to a place where they take care of cats and you donate money to them.
Or when you explain a joke.
Yeah, you don't explain a joke and you don't tell the people that you're donating money. You just give them cash, and it's for purely altruism.